would it be correct for me to assume that you've all heard of microgreens? Has anyone not heard of microgreens? Okay, Monica. So, if you've ever eaten out of a restaurant or gone on a cruise, you've probably eaten microgreens. Microgreens are tiny baby plants that are really between the first sprout stage and a baby plant itself. Okay, so our mission here is to teach the world to grow food one family at a time, right? That's what we're doing. We're teaching you. And furthermore, to share with the world how you can have the garden you'd want, like the sign says out there, if your life depended on it. I hope you go away knowing that you could grow a great garden if your life did depend on it. If you think about growing seasons, there are some that'll grow between, maybe a shorter growing season, 3 months. Is that about what yours is? Mm-hmm. Okay. And in Idaho and other northern places, that's about what you'll have. Some places, if you manipulate your environment or you live in a really nice area of the world, you can grow year-round. You can grow entire year-round. There are people that have these geothermal greenhouses that can potentially grow year-round. And the question is, what about you? Where would you like to be in that scheme? Would you like to be able to grow 3 months or whatever you're limited to, or be able to expand that? The question is, what if you could do that? What if you could do that without having to have a big greenhouse? Or move from the north to the south? Or, What would you think? Would you do it? You want to learn more about that? Okay. That's what growing microgreens really allows you to do, because in fact you're then bringing your farm inside and making kind of a vertical farm in your kitchen or your spare room or whatever you'd like to do. Now in Utah, where I live, the average day of last frost is around the 15th of May. If you cover and you have cold or hardy crops, you can start maybe in April, about the 15th of April. But only about 5.4 months. So out of that time, if you're growing tomatoes, forget it. You can't grow them. They're dead, right? Peppers, dead. So it was to me an interesting concept to say, what if I could do this? Go from 3 months to year-round, and the answer is microgreens, which I call, and a lot of people call, it's the superfood that anybody can grow. Now by superfood, anybody know superfoods? Throw a couple out there.
Beets.
Beets?
Purslane.
Wheatgrass. What?
Purslane.
What's that?
It's a weed, but you can eat it. It's a superfood.
Hey.
It has a lot of omega-3s.
Pomegranate, right? Lots of them out there. But microgreens are very nutrient-dense food. Now, this is not a tray of ours. We grow ours in food-safe plastic. This is not a food-safe plastic, but it was a good picture that I found. So these are a variety of different microgreens that have all been grown within the space of about 2 weeks. You can go from seed to harvest in about 2 weeks. How about that? Very interesting. Now, couple of facts about microgreens. First of all, let's define them. Tiny edible plants, usually vegetables, okay? Vegetable garden plants that are grown in high quantities and harvested while they're still juvenile plants. So you're not really getting anywhere near maturity at all. They are not sprouts nor baby greens, they're in between. Right? So here's a good example. These are alfalfa sprouts here. These are actually baby greens. Anybody have an idea what that one looks like?
Radish.
Basil, good. Mm-hmm. Yep, basil. So here you've got the two cotyledon leaves, and then these are the true leaves here. They look like actual basil. The microgreens are in between, and these are some broccoli microgreens that were grown in a soil medium. So you can see on those broccoli greens, I'll get a close-up here in a second actually, we can go back. You can see that they only have their cotyledon leaves, and that's when you'd actually consume them. Just cut them maybe about a ½ inch above the soil and eat, and they're delicious.
Do you throw the rest away?
I do, I compost it. put it in my flower beds, not my mint lighter gardens.
Just so real quickly, we
Do I get a brownie point for that?
Oh, wait, first he gets a demerit, then he can get a
Well, there's a lot of good stuff in there.
There is, and so you
Yeah.
kind of have to deal with that, but at the same time, once you realize what you're doing, yeah, my flowers look great. Of course, I put some mint lighter weekly feed on those too. All right. So, sprouts are the most nutritious form of a plant that you can get because they have the most nutrition in them, okay? But microgreens have the most nutrition and flavor, right? So you're getting the sprouts. Who likes sprouts? I love them. I eat them. But they have that earthy, more earth taste to them. There's nothing wrong with that. They're full of antioxidants and phytonutrients and enzymes, right? And again, I'm not an expert, so I don't want to kind of come across as that. But 2 to 5 days for sprouts, 7 to 14 days for microgreens, 3 to 4 weeks for baby greens, where some, chefs, they'll want those baby greens because they have those true leaves and they look a little bit more interesting. They're also, I like microgreens because they're a little bit easier to prevent bacterial growth. If you live in a humid place like this or other places in the country, you've got to be a little bit careful with sprouting because salmonella and other things. I mean, you're sprouting them in a jar maybe for a day, rinsing them, soaking them for a day, sprouting them for 2, 3, 4, 5 days. And in that moist environment, if it's not good quality seed, you could have problems. We don't want to get sick from just trying to be healthy, obviously. So how to use them? Well, they can be used almost any way. Now, there was someone else here that grows microgreens. Who was it? Dwight. So how do you like to use your microgreens?
We're just still experimenting.
Still experimenting?
We grew the lettuces and we grew the garden mix from
Mountain Valley?
True Leaf Garden.
Truth, yeah. With market. Yeah, you can use them in anything. I mean, I love to eat them plain, but breakfast foods, sandwiches, wraps, blended into smoothies, garnishes. I think that's a very nice use. It makes your food look pretty, but it's an underuse. I mean, you can grow a pat of microgreens and eat that whole thing. I mean, you can digest them so easily. They don't fill you up, but they're extremely healthy. Or just plain. I like to just harvest a pat of them, put them in a bowl, put a little olive oil and balsamic vinegar and pepper, and just mix that together and just eat it like a salad. Why? Well, some of the favorites that we have are wheatgrass. We grow wheatgrass for juicing, broccoli, leek, kale, pea shoots, salad mix, beet, tastes just like beet greens. Cilantro is amazing. It's a very flavorful. It's just like a power-packed cilantro. And kohlrabi. Okay. Now you can't grow tomato microgreens. There's some things, of course, that you wouldn't grow, so don't take it as you can grow anything. But many of the vegetables that you'll put in your gardens, you can grow as a microgreen any time of the year. Think about it. Isn't that amazing? To me, when we started growing microgreens, we've been doing about 3 years. 3.5 years, I guess. And I want to share with you just a few other facts here. So they can be grown in soil or hydroponically on grow pads, which is what we do. Why? Don't have to use soil. Don't have to buy the soil. Don't have to get rid of the soil, right? We compost the pads, but it's a little easier. You can grow them in any quantity. So if you have the space, I mean, we have a rack, right? And it's got 8 shelves. And we just grow them we sprout them with a cover and then we move them up into the lights. We do have lights, so it's a tiny bit of an expense to have a rack and to have some trays and some grow lights, but we've grown them by the window and they do fine there too. It's just the lights are a little bit, they're very inexpensive though. They're LEDs, so they use no electricity virtually. Doing microgreens requires minimal effort. I want to talk about that for just a minute. Mint Lighter Gardens, I've had people ask me, well, you can help me build my garden, I'll pay you. And most of the time I decline. I help family, friends, and neighbors. But people that would commission me and say, hey, I'll pay you to do it. I've declined those types of jobs because they're very labor intensive. And to me, I just tell them, listen, you need to build this on your own. You'll appreciate it more. You'll get a lot of satisfaction out of having done it. And it wouldn't be practical to hire me. I mean, if I charged you what I'm worth, I mean, you'd be paying me $15,000 to put in this garden for you. I'm not going to charge you to do that. Microgreens, it's no work. I mean, it's virtually no work. It's getting them wet in the morning, looking at them in the evening. I mean, you can't take a 2-week vacation and hope to come back and have your microgreens there because they need to be kept watered. But beyond that, there's no fertilization. You can grow them inside, usually in temperatures right around 70 degrees. Humidity in humid environments could be a problem, but I live in Utah, so it isn't. If you really wanted to grow a lot of microgreens in a specific room, you'd probably want to get a dehumidifier. But here are 2 facts that just amaze me. 40 times, up to 40 times as nutrient dense as adult vegetables. Broccoli head, crown of broccoli versus the same weight in microgreens, you're getting 40 times the nutrition out of that. Now, why wouldn't we just grow microgreens all of the time? Well, they won't fill you up. I mean, you'd have to eat a mountain load of them probably to fill you up. But if they're a supplement to your garden, to what your diet is coming out of your garden, it's an incredible amount of nutrition. And they're fun. That's the last thing, is that if you love growing and you love planting seeds, try planting 1,000 at a time. It's a real rush. You're like, whoa!
How do you space them?
Refer to it's in the book. No. Yeah, you don't. You're growing quite densely. You can overseed them. You don't want them piled on top of each other because then they can get moldy. But you just flat. I've grown them on a paper towel. Just in a food-safe freezer tray. I mean, I've tried lots of different things of what I like to do. Some of the health benefits. So why did we start doing this? Well, my dad had a stroke 2 years ago, and we had started growing microgreens about 3. Luckily, the stroke wasn't a bad one for him. But he had a heart condition, AFib, so his heart would kind of flutter. Then the blood would pool in his heart, and then it would coagulate a little bit, and that's what caused his stroke. Well, this only kind of motivated us to even further move into microgreens and continue to have them, as well as all the other things we talked about. But heart disease, microgreens are a rich source of polyphenols, helps lower that risk, gets rid of bad cholesterol. Has anybody's family been touched by Alzheimer's? Yeah. So early research seems to say that it may help with that, to prevent Alzheimer's. Diabetes helps, good folks that have those, certain cancers. And I think if you go out and do a half an hour research, you'll find that the evidence is really irrefutable. I mean, it's there, so why not do it? Why not do it? You can make it a small part of what you do or a large part. Right now, for us, it's kind of a medium thing. Our Midlighter gardens are where we focus, but this is a great way for us to go from this to more like this, or maybe you could be somewhat like this, or you can have intermediate vegetable growth whenever you want it. It's kind of like on-demand year-round gardening. Any questions so far? A couple questions? Yep.
Do you have a photo of your rack system, or when do you move them to the light? The light doesn't certainly go down 8 shelves.
No, it doesn't. And no, I don't have those, but just because I haven't taken photos of that yet as I have my Midlighter gardens. This is kind of a last minute thing. But what I'm going to do is we're going to get some links out to you guys to see. I'm working with True Leaf Market. I'm able to get, in the volume that I get a discount personally, just because I can walk in and get my stuff. I'm going to see if we can get a discount for anybody that might be interested, and then link that out to you. So if you're interested, we'll have a list go around, and love to share that with you. Yes?
When you grow something like broccoli, is it just regular broccoli seed? Or is it special?
You could take this seed and grow full broccoli too, so.
Some of the seed is coated with stuff, so it's to prevent mold and other things, so you want to get...
This is organic seed. This is
Organic
all
seed.
organic. It's certified. The
Yeah.
germination rates are
It's the
certified.
same as you put in your garden.
It is.
It's different than
Okay.
the agriculture stuff we do that day.
Yeah, it's not going to be like IFA seed that could have had pesticides on it or something like that. This is all organic. Good question. Couple final things here. These are two books that I would highly recommend that you look at. The Wheatgrass book and Wheatgrass Nature's Finest Medicine, which I'm going to read you just a portion of here. Anne Wigmore, who charges thousands, she's passed away since, but her institute, the Anne Wigmore Institute, has a couple of locations in the country, but if you're in failing health, it's a place you can sign up to and go down to her institute for $10,000 or $15,000 for 2 weeks and be detoxed and kind of learn what you're learning here. In a way, they deal more with sprouts and microgreens and things like that. But I checked these books out from the library and later bought them. And these books will just teach you about the benefits of wheatgrass. Now, wheatgrass is a microgreen, but it is considered a superfood. I want to read you just one story. It's a page and a half out of this book here about someone who wasn't in failing health, but how microgreens, specifically wheatgrass juice, helped him. Now, people who have gone on to wheatgrass juice specifically have been relieved of things like brain tumors, breast cancers, fertility problems, skin problems, colon cancers, heart, stomach, and throat cancer, pain management. That would include things like fibromyalgia, those types of things. Or even it's helped people that have been pregnant or nursing, breast cancer again, bladder cancer, irritable bowel syndrome. Amazing. And the evidence is really irrefutable. The fact that there's not more out there, I think, speaks of Big Pharma, I think, and their agenda. I mean, that's a little bit, depending on where you are in your thinking on those things, a little bit conspiracy. But this is a story of a guy named Bruce McVeigh, who tells his story about using wheatgrass juice and his marathon running. So he's a marathon runner. And I can attest, I'm not a marathon runner, but I'll tell you a little bit about my own experience with this after I read this. Let me see how long this is. So it's just a page, just one page, so don't fall asleep on me. The newspapers have recently published several articles on animal studies that have proved that very low-calorie and high nutritional diets enhance strength, endurance, and longevity. Wheatgrass has, by lab analysis, proven to be very close to, if not the foremost plant in the category of nutritive value per ounce. So it's pretty much the most nutrient-dense food you could eat. I read this and thought, okay, I'm going to try that. Wheatgrass, let's see, so being an ultra-distance runner for 5 years, ultra-distance are races like from between 30 to 100 miles. So this is not, I do not do this, okay, but this guy does. He said he tried every physically enhancing supplement and natural food source to improve his health, stamina, and oxygenation process. 1.5 years ago, I began juicing 1 to 6 ounces of grass juice daily. After 1 to 2 months of cleansing, which consisted of a few headaches and itching, I began to notice tremendous changes in my performance, energy, stamina, etc. Always in the past, I was a middle to near rear of the pack runner. Wheatgrass changed that. This year, I ran a 26-mile race in the Teton Mountains and won by half an hour.
That's a long time in that race.
Process that from and he's always, so when I'm going through these stories and thinking of my dad, and okay, and I read this, I'm like, what? Okay.
Was anyone else racing?
I researched that too, he was the only one. No.
You guys are smart.
The thing you left out about these long distance runs is typically they are like mountain trails and so forth.
Oh, yeah.
Typically those are not,
That's a good point.
it's not a track, you're not running on the sidewalk.
Yeah, you're up in the mountains, it's
Yeah.
like an Olusebugu or
And
whatever.
maybe you'll have maybe a 10-mile run and it takes 12 or 14 hours because you gotta climb up the hills and down and, yeah.
So listen to this. This year I ran a 26-mile race in the Teton Mountains, won by half an hour. This race was at the top of the Tetons, 12,000 to 13,000 feet high, and down to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, ultra distance runners from all over the United States participated, so that clears that up. Let's see, at the 18-mile checkpoint, some people with twice the amount of training as me quit the race. 2 or 3 finished. Something I noticed was that I never hit the wall. No nausea, nothing like that, like sometimes he had had in previous races. I was exhilarated all the way to the end of the race. On June 5th, I participated in an 11.5-hour run-a-thon at the Utah State Prison. I ran over 62 miles, eating primarily wheat and barley grass mixed with fresh apple juice. During this time, I expended over 6,500 calories. My nearest competitor was 10 miles behind. These are factual examples, but the best result is the way I feel all the time and during the race. Very comfortable and under physical and mental stress. Some people would think that I increased my training or trained long and hard for these races, but in reality, I cut my training in half during this period of time. I had to cut my training mileage from 60 to 90 miles per week to 30 to 40 miles per week. Imagine. Less training, but better performance. I have broken most of my own personal records. Another thing that amazed me about the prison race was that my laps at the last of the race were as fast as the laps at the beginning. Wheatgrass helps numerous processes in the body, but improved oxygenation is the best one. I believe in it. So, in the scope of what we're doing here, and bettering our lives and learning and trying to grow as people, I cannot emphasize enough what doing some of these things will do for you. Particularly for me, I go for, the longest that my wife and I have had wheatgrass is probably about 4 months daily. And then we'll take a little break from it and then get back. Like this week we won't have any, and then we'll start to grow some new when we get back. This oxygenation process, after literally probably just 1 week of being on wheatgrass juice, I can feel like every breath I take is a deep breath. Like my body doesn't need to take another breath, or I feel like I need another one. I can just sit here and I'm not breathing almost. It's almost strange. And then the first, and so I've done it wheatgrass intermittently. I like to do it consistently, take a break for maybe a week or two, and then go back on it. You feel great. Microgreens do the same thing.
What does it
Question?
taste like?
Is that
It
all
tastes
you're
awful.
having, or is that a supplement to
Great.
your diet?
That's a supplement. Wheatgrass juice, yeah, so supplement. I've never done a wheatgrass juice fast. Some people will say you can do that. If I had cancer, if I had colon cancer, I absolutely would do this. I would go on a wheatgrass juice, 8 ounces in the morning, 8 ounces in the afternoon, 8 ounces. I mean, it would become a colon cancer cure, I believe.
Do you juice your wheatgrass or do you see it straight?
You have to juice it. Yeah, you can't digest the grass unless you're half bovine. Janet.
I have a good friend who had very similar results with wheatgrass. I know it's powerful. My question is, I have a daughter who isn't supposed to tolerate wheat. Do you know anything about whether that would?
I do. Our daughter actually came out with a gluten intolerance this last 2 months. So you can have wheatgrass juice and there's no gluten in it. The gluten is in the seed. So if you're going to grind up the wheat, then that's where the gluten is, but you can grow the grass and still have all the benefits. People that
Sprouting changes it.
Sprouting.
Yeah, sprouting, yeah. So an amazing experience, yeah.
Why do you take it and then take a break and then go back to it?
So that's kind of a test I'm going through to see if I believe it's true. Like maybe you might build up a tolerance to some of those benefits. I don't think that that's true. I think more so it's just, I've used those breaks to coincide with when we've traveled and it's not convenient to take a juicer anywhere, but.
What kind of juicer do you use?
You need to get a masticating juicer. It's like one with an auger. It's not your regular juice man type of juicer.
Yeah, we just recently got a champion at an estate scale, which is one of those. Previously we've had the kind where you push it down on this rotating thing that.
Rotating, but yeah, you can't use that.
I had 4 or 5 of those, and
Anybody
they
wants
are
one? We got
worthless.
2 of them.
Take the money to buy
When you grow it,
Champions
how
are
do
very
you,
nice.
how do you harvest wheatgrass? Do you just cut it and it keeps growing?
Yep,
or
just
do
cut
you
it.
Do you have
just
to keep
cut it.
replenishing it?
And you can, well, we grow a tray at a time, we'll harvest on it and juice that fresh, or if we have a big tray that's ready to go, you just cut it, put it in the fridge.
Did it, she asked if it continues to grow
Oh,
and you
I'm
continue
sorry.
to cut it.
Yeah.
You can, but I don't recommend that. I have done a second cutting, the taste goes down, the nutrition is still there, but not as much. You get most of the nutrition in that first
Okay.
grow, that first stroke. 2 more questions.
When you juice it, do you juice anything with like apple? I know with my juicer, I have the masticated thing, and if I do any kind of leafy thing, I need to put something in there with it to help it kind of.
How do I consume it? So someone says, do you like, it tastes really, it's not, the taste is, the taste gets better over time, but I've also seen that I have had this up and down effect. I've actually had it where I really don't like it, then I like it more, then I'm on it even longer, and I like it less. So I generally juice and just drink a couple of ounces in the morning, maybe in the evening, but usually just once a day. And I'll usually chase it down with some carrot juice or apple juice or something that I like. You can mix it with celery and other things, but then that just usually, the wheatgrass juice is so overpowering that it kind of takes over the whole drink to me.
How long can you save that juice? You juice and keep it for a week? Or?
You cannot. You need to consume it as quickly as possible. I've heard people say that you can leave it in your fridge for 8 hours or a day, but there's no value in doing that to me. You don't want to juice it in quantity and like, hey, get out some old bad wheatgrass juice. Okay. If you have more questions, yeah, one more.
Just one more. I used to juice with a masticating juicer for quite a while, and I got tired of cleaning it. Any tips on that?
I do.
Oil it before you use it.
Oil it?
Oil it, put olive oil or something on, or vegetable oil before you use it so stuff comes off.
Really?
I use a Omega juicer. Those are the only juicers I'd probably recommend.
That's the one I have.
And I have the Juice Cube.
What do you call it? Juice cube?
Juice Cube. It's it just looks like a cube. I'll pull up a picture later and show you. It takes me only 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes to clean it. It's literally the most effortless juicer in terms of cleaning, which is the reason I bought it, because I knew that it's going to be an investment. Okay, all right.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ben.
You're welcome.
Now, how practical is this? Read. Anyone remember the story of Joseph who was sold into Egypt? And how the world as they knew it had prosperity for 7 years and then 7 years of famine. And the wheat saved the lives of all those people. It enriched the Egyptian monarchy, I guess, because they were the only source of the food. But think of it for our time. Lots of people have been taught, encouraged, even trained to store food against hard times. Those with a biblical perspective, many of them, have wheat, large amounts of wheat. I personally have eaten bread made from wheat that we had stored for 40 years. Couldn't tell any difference in the taste. It was great. It rose with yeast and so forth. Seemed to be just fine. So wheat is an amazing, amazing product. Is it the kind of thing that I would suggest that you try doing right now every day? I don't know. My life is pretty full. My wife has got a baby and doesn't have much time and doesn't really want to get into this.
Mm-hmm.
But how important is it, and how important might it become? So the reason that I asked Ben to do this, because as a practical matter, most of us are not going to be able to grow a garden more than 8 or 9 months at the most. What do you do for that other 3 months? For a few dollars, you can have the microgreens. stored. Learn how to use them, learn how to grow them and eat them. The microgreens that we usually eat the plant are those that have the secondary edible parts of the plant. And of course, things like lettuce and stuff that you eat the entire thing, kale. So you're already eating them. One thing that I think argues strongly for this as a supplement to anything and everything else that you're doing is that, as Ben said, it doesn't take very much. If you're getting as much as 40 times the nutrition from the same caloric and volume input as food from your garden, I'm telling the world that the food from your garden is far better than the average American diet of processed foods and canned foods and meat and so forth. Well, if these things are anywhere near 40 times better than that, how much do you need to eat in order to stay healthy? One of the things I told you about the healthiest people in the world was that they do not overeat. They eat less than the average person. And with this, I am totally convinced that small amounts will keep you healthy. And not only keep you healthy, but make you much more healthy. So put this on your list of things to, at the very least, buy yourself some microgreen and sprouting seeds.